Today, we're diving into a powerful secret for transforming a chaotic classroom. And get this, it has nothing to do with stricter rules. It's all about making lessons, well, magical. So let me start by asking you something that might just flip what you think about discipline on its head. What if the key to a calm, focused classroom has absolutely nothing to do with consequences or control? What if it's something else entirely? To get to that answer, we first have to talk about a problem that, let's be honest, a lot of teachers know all too well. It's what we're calling the disruption dilemma.
Yeah, I think we've all seen a scene like this, haven't we? The kids look bored out of their minds. The teacher's voice is just blah, blah, blah. Well, the author of our source material, they experienced the most extreme version of this. They worked in a pupil referral unit where pretty much every single minute of the day was spent just trying to manage bad behavior.
And you can just imagine that constant battle is just draining, both emotionally and physically. It's this relentless cycle of disruption, then reaction, and it leaves everybody completely wiped out. But then, right in the middle of all that chaos and stress, something really strange happened. Something completely unexpected. And this one moment, it led to this incredible transformation. It's the key to everything we're talking about today. So check this out. An outside group came in to do a hands-on lesson with live animals. We're talking reptiles, insects, all kinds of creepy crawlies. So these students, who were normally rude and chaotic, they walk into the hall, and there's a woman just quietly holding a rat. They see these boxes with hairy insect legs poking out of them, and in that instant, everything just changed. The kids just stopped. Their eyes got wide, and they sat there in total silence, completely hooked. And this is the big reveal right here. The source material puts it perfectly. Their behavior change was miraculous. Why? Because they were so totally engaged that there was, and I love this phrase, simply no room left on their hard drives for naughtiness. Total engagement just crowded out all the bad behavior. Okay, so obviously we can't all bring a box of tarantulas into our classrooms every day, right? So the real question is, how do you replicate that same level of deep engagement? Well, the first tool comes from a pretty unlikely place. Our source calls it the salesman's secret. You know, a really good salesperson doesn't just try to sell you something. No, they get to know you. They build a connection. And we can do the exact same thing. The idea is called a record card, and it's a simple tool for finding out what actually makes our students tick, what they're passionate about when they're not in school. And the process is super simple. This isn't some formal test. It's just a chill, low-pressure questionnaire. The whole point isn't about getting right or wrong answers. It's about finding those little sparks of passion that you can use later to ignite their interest in learning. And this information, it's gold. It's not just for planning lessons. You can use it to tailor rewards they'll actually care about. You can find reading material they'll genuinely want to pick up. And maybe most importantly, it gives you a real way to connect with them, as actual human beings. All right, so you've got this great information. Now what? Well, the key here is to shift from just planning lessons to designing memorable experiences. It's a big difference. Let's dig into what that actually looks like. This right here, this is the fundamental shift in your thinking. Before you teach anything, you have to ask yourself these questions. Why do they need to learn this? How will it actually benefit them? How does it connect to their lives? Because, let's be real, if your only answer is because it's on the test, you've already lost. The battle for their attention is over before it's even started. But when you do connect learning to their passions, man, amazing things happen. So instead of just reading the book Holes, the students actually went to a beach and dug holes. Or, get this, a group of boys who were obsessed with motocross, they didn't just have a normal art class. Nope, they built a life-size Suzuki Trials bike, and the quality of their work, it was just phenomenal. And look, the big takeaway here is that bringing the curriculum to life doesn't mean you have to plan some huge, epic project every single time. It can be way simpler. For a lesson on space, maybe you just dim the lights and put on some cool, spacey music. Seriously, a little bit of flair, a little bit of presentation can turn a totally boring activity into something they'll actually remember. But hey, it's not always about being bored, right? Sometimes kids check out because they're just frustrated. And that brings us to this really powerful story from our source. It's an experiment that puts you right in the shoes of a student who's really struggling. Okay, so picture this. You're training to be a teacher, and a lecturer announces you're all going to take a brand new, super important science test. Strict exam conditions. The papers are handed out, you flip it over, And the questions are total nonsense, complete gibberish. How would you feel? You probably start to panic, right? Get frustrated, maybe even a little angry? Well, that's exactly what happened. The whole room just erupts in confusion. Then the lecturer stands up and drops the bombshell. The test was fake. The whole point was to make them feel exactly what a child feels every single day when they're given work that is way, way too hard for them. Talk about an aha moment. And that powerful lesson leads directly to these super practical tips. A lot of the time, when a kid is acting out, it's really just a symptom. They're feeling overwhelmed. So if you pitch the work at the right level and you break it down into smaller, bite-sized pieces, you make it possible for them to actually succeed. And when they can succeed, that need to act out, it just kind of melts away. Okay, let's pull all of these ideas together. We're going to build a final toolkit you can use to structure your lessons for, you guessed it, maximum engagement. So here it is, a fantastic checklist. Keep your beginnings and endings tight. Have a starter that really grabs their attention. Believe it or not, have a water break. Keep the pace moving. Make sure your changeovers between activities are seamless. And probably the most important, put some life into it. Your enthusiasm is totally contagious. And really, that last point ties into that old saying, right? You get back what you give out. It is so true. If we walk in looking bored and uninspired, how can we possibly expect our students to be excited and engaged? Our energy is the spark. So as we wrap this up, the real challenge here isn't just about managing behavior. It's about something much more exciting. It's about discovering what makes your students light up. So I'll leave you with this final question to think about. What passion are you going to unlock in your classroom tomorrow?